Welcome to Saucon Technologies. This video is intended to teach drivers how to use electronic driver logs using the Saucon Touch display. The Welcome Aboard screen is always displayed when there is no one signed on to the device. So let's begin by logging into the system. Tap the Sign In button. From the Enter Driver ID screen, drivers are required to enter their driver ID and trip number. Enter your driver ID by using the keyboard available on screen. Then tap into the trip ID field to enter a run number or charter number. When ready, tap the Done button on the keyboard. The next thing you'll do is tap the Submit button. The system displays the main console screen first, then an audible sound is played, and a pop-up box shows two statuses, on duty or off duty. The driver must select one and then be returned to the main console. The main console screen displays various apps that may be available for your use. The driver log and multi-driver app are primarily used by drivers. Keep in mind that the main console screen is a scrollable screen, so you may need to scroll down to view and access other apps. The Settings app controls the level of screen brightness. Just tap to set the brightness level. There are 4 levels to choose from. The orange Info button displays the installed app version dates. You can tap the X to close the window. The Reenter Code button allows drivers to quickly access the driver ID screen, where they can enter their ID and then trip ID, and then submit. Tap the Sign Off button to sign off the display and be brought back to the Welcome Aboard screen. Make sure you check your status before signing off. From the main console screen, tap the Driver Log app icon to access your logs. The progress screen shows your name and current status at the top of the screen. Notice I'm in off duty. To change my status to sleeper berth, tap the SB button. Or, to change status to on duty not driving, tap the OD button. One thing to know is you cannot change status unless the vehicle has stopped moving. Notice that on the progress screen, there is no button for the driving status. The reason for this is the system will automatically change your status to driving once the vehicle starts to move. The system waits until we receive 3 miles per hour or greater from the ECM. That's when the status changes to driving. In order to change your status from driving to off-duty, sleeper berth, or on-duty not driving, the vehicle must be stopped first. Once the vehicle is stopped, you're allowed to tap one of the status buttons to change your status. When you are in driving status and the vehicle is stopped, the system allows you to enter comments. The progress screen lists several available comments underneath the status buttons. The common comments are listed as pre-trip, post-trip, or unloading. When tapped, they turn green. Tap the More button to view additional comments. The Driver Comment button allows you to enter free-form text. Simply use the keyboard to enter the text and then tap the Done button. And when you're ready, you'll be able to submit or cancel your comment. Hit OK, and your comment will be added to your logbook. Every comment that is selected will change your status to on duty, not driving. There are 4 white buttons displayed under the progress bars. These buttons are used for specific situations. The Yard Move button can only be selected when the vehicle is in the geofenced yard. If the Yard Move button is selected outside a geo area, the system displays a message that states Yard Move can only be used in the yard. When the Yard Move button is selected, the system sets the driver's status to on duty not driving. The Yard Move feature allows drivers to move buses around the yard without being brought to the driving line. When the vehicle exits the yard, the system displays a message prompting the driver to tap the Change to Driving Status button. Drivers should tap the button to confirm they are leaving the yard. When the button is tapped, the driver's status is changed to driving. If the button is ignored, the system still keeps the driver in on duty not driving. The system does automatically insert an event on the driver's logbook with a comment of departed yard. This is an indication that the vehicle left the yard. If the driver does tap the Change to Driving Status button, that action will end the yard movement and a comment of yard move will be added to the logbook. When adverse conditions is selected, the system does not add 2 extra hours to the driver's remaining time, but it does insert an event and a yellow dot on the driver's graph. Let's take a look. Tap the red circle and then tap the View Edit icon to view your graph. As you can see, the graph displays the yellow dots that represent when the driver selected adverse conditions. You can tap the Expand icon to view the duty events, and then scroll, and then you can tap the Collapse to close the events, then tap the Back button to return to the progress screen. The default regulation is determined by your administrator. For US-based drivers, the default setting is FMCSA passenger 70-hour, 8 days. The regulation button clearly displays the regulations you are currently following. When drivers need to change the regulations, simply tap the Regulation button to view the available regulation options in the pop-up list. Tap an option to select it. I'm going to select Canada South Cycle 1. The system will re-download my logs and now store 14 days of logs instead of the standard 8 days. The screen does take a moment or two to load the new set of regulations. Please be patient. Once the regulations load, the new set are displayed in the center of the screen. Note the button also changes. It now says Canada South Cycle 1. The center of the screen displays the driver's remaining time for each of the HOS clocks listed. Note the center of the screen also is scrollable so you can view all the clocks and all the time. To change your regulations back to FMCSA, tap the Regulation button and then tap the appropriate option. The system will re-download your logs and revert back to showing the 8 days instead of the 14. Just remember, the system does not change the regulation set for you. You must do this manually. In this example, the system has detected that I have less than 2 hours remaining on my 10-hour HOS clock. The system will display alerts whenever applicable. You must tap the OK button to acknowledge the alert. The last white button is the Personal Conveyance button. Drivers can only use PC when the administrator has enabled its use in the portal. PC should be used in accordance with FMCSA regulations and company policy. To put yourself in Personal Conveyance, you must first tap the Off-Duty Status button, and then tap the Personal Conveyance button. When in Personal Conveyance, at the top of the screen, you can see clearly that it says Off-Duty Personal Conveyance. The system will automatically add a duty event to your logbook that says Personal Conveyance Start. Tap the End Personal Conveyance button to end the PC event. The system will not do this automatically for you. When End PC is selected, a prompt is displayed letting you choose the appropriate status you'd like to be set to. Do you want to move to off-duty, select another status, or cancel? When PC End is selected, a PC End event is also added to your driver's log. In addition, if you tap a status or select a comment, the system will also auto-generate a PC End event automatically. If you are in on-duty status and you tap the PC button, the system displays a message letting you know that you must switch to off-duty first and then tap the Personal Conveyance button. If you've turned the engine off while in Personal Conveyance and then sign back into the same vehicle the next day, entering in your driver ID, trip number, submitting, the system will then prompt you with a message that says, you were last in PC on this vehicle. Would you like to stay in PC, change to on-duty not driving, or change to sleeper berth? Let's go ahead and pick on-duty not driving. The My Profile icon, located on the progress screen, shows all the exemptions that you are set up for. Your administrator will set this up in the portal. Tap the My Profile icon to view your exemption settings. When a green check mark is displayed next to one of the exemptions, it means you are allowed to use that functionality. If a check mark is not present, it means you are not set up for that exemption, and that function is disabled. You can tap on one of the question marks to view further details pertaining to each exemption. For example, if you tap on sleeper berth, you'll see a pop-up that provides some details. Or if you tap on personal conveyance or yard movement, notice on the progress screen, the yard move and the personal conveyance buttons are grayed out. That's because I don't have a check mark next to those items in the profile screen. They are essentially disabled. How to sign your logs. All drivers are required to sign their logbook. To do so, tap the blue Sign Logs button on the progress screen. You are brought right into the driver's signature screen. 8 or 14 days will be presented on screen for you. The date and the totals across all the statuses and miles are also shown in the chart. When a check mark is present under the first column, it's an indication that the driver has signed off on that day. That means his signature is present on his log. If there's no check mark, it means those days are not signed and need to be signed. Once a day is signed and there's a check mark present, you cannot uncheck that day. You can't unsign that day. Before placing a check mark in the box, make sure to confirm your HOS totals are correct. Go back and look at that day's log if you need to. When you are ready to sign a day in the past, tap in the empty white box to indicate your approval. A check mark will be displayed. Now tap the Sign Selected blue button and a message is displayed confirming that you are certifying that the 24-hour period on your log is true and correct. You can tap I agree to submit your signature or not ready to back out. If you tap I agree, the system displays a message letting you know your submission was successful. You can approve multiple days if you like. Simply tap and place a check mark in the checkbox across multiple days. If you're approving days in the past, when you're done, the system will return you back to the progress screen. If you are in driving status and you are about to sign today's log, the system behaves a bit differently. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's tap the Sign Log button, and then let's tap today's log, Sign Selected button, and then tap I agree. The system displays a message letting you know that your logs have been submitted, but you're in driving status. You can tap the Select Another status, and then tap one of the statuses. Let's tap Off Duty. You are brought back to the Welcome Aboard screen where you have successfully signed off the device, approved your log, and set your status to Off Duty. How to add a new event to your log. The system does not allow drivers to add a duty event to their log if they are currently in driving status. So you first have to change your status. Secondly, the system will not allow drivers to ever reduce electronically recorded driving time. If an attempt is made to reduce electronically recorded driving time, a message is displayed letting you know to contact an administrator. Let's go into the View Edit screen and take a look. Notice the graph shows the driver is in driving status from 7:30 to 2. Let's try to shorten that electronically recorded driving time by adding a new event. Tap the On Duty button. Then let's fill out our time. In this example, I'm going to enter 11 p.m. and you can see that the system lets me know I cannot add a time in the future. Okay, let's enter 1 p.m. The system displays a message letting the driver know this action cannot be saved and to go consult your administrator. In this example, let's add an off-duty event at 3 a.m. Tap the Add Duty Detail icon, and then tap the off-duty button to set our status. Enter in 3 a.m. using the little time clock. I'm going to leave all the other fields alone, but if you needed to change anything you could. For example, city and state location, you could use the keyboard to change that. Once done, tap the Save button, and then you'll see that you are required to select a reason modified value from the drop-down and also enter a reason as to why you're manually editing this log. Those are required. Tap to save when done, and then we can tap the Expand button to view the actual duty event underneath the graph. And we can see that we have our 3 o'clock off-duty event. A typical problem is drivers forget to go off-duty the previous night, and then the next day comes along and the driver has a violation on their log. I'm going to show you how to correct that yourselves from the touch display. You can clearly see the driver left themselves in on-duty not driving all day, which causes the violation for Monday. So in order to fix the problem, we need to add an off-duty event on Sunday. Tap the Add Duty Detail button, and then tap Off Duty, and now enter the time you went off duty. Tap Save, fill in your reason and notes, and then you return to the graph on Sunday. As you can see, the graph has been updated with the new off-duty event. The line is displayed in green, and if we tap the Expand button, we can see the event listed there, the off-duty event. Tap the next button to view Monday's log. We can see that Monday's log got cleaned up, there's no longer a violation, and you haven't been in an on-duty not driving status from Sunday into Monday. That's how you clean up a day's log if you've left yourself in on duty all day. Next, we're going to show you how to add a driving event to your log. It's slightly different than adding any other type of event. From the progress screen, tap the red circle menu so you can get the extended list of additional menu options. And when that comes up, we're going to tap the View Edit button. From here, tap the Add Duty Detail, and now we're going to tap the Driving Status button and tap into the time field. We're going to set our time to 3:01, and notice it says I cannot because you're changing current time. So let's reset that time to 3 o'clock, change to PM, tap Done, and now fill in your reason and the notes. Fill in something meaningful and then save. And now let's take a look at our event. Tap the Expand button to view it, and you'll see as in the last row we have created a driving event at 1500 hours. Next, we're going to talk about everyday procedures. When you sign into the system and you're at the main console screen and you've tapped the driver log app icon and now you're looking at the progress screen, typically the first thing that you want to do in the morning is do a pre-trip. So you want to tap the pre-trip button to indicate that on your log. Then you do your full inspection, and once you're ready to head out, simply start driving. The system's going to bring you to the driving status once 3 miles per hour is detected. From there, let's say you get to your first destination. So now you are in driving status, you're pulling over, you've stopped the vehicle, and now you have some options. You can either manually change your status by tapping the On Duty button, and of course you can only do this when the vehicle is stopped. But let's say you forget to tap that On Duty button and you get out of your seat and you're outside assisting customers. Well, there's an auto feature, we call it Auto On Duty, that will kick in. And basically what happens is the system detects that the vehicle hasn't moved in 5 minutes. And once that 5 minutes is over, the system displays a message on the screen, prompting you to make a choice. The message on the screen says the following: you have been in driving status for 5 minutes without any vehicle motion. Please choose from one of the following options: remain in driving, change to on duty, or off duty. This message remains visible on screen for 1 minute. So you have 1 minute to make a choice. If you don't make a choice within that minute, the system will make a choice for you and automatically change your status to on duty, not driving. Again, this is called auto on duty. And when that happens, the system also adds an event to your log titled auto on duty. Another automated feature that the system has is if the engine is turned off while you're in driving status, the system prompts a message with a sound letting you know you are currently in driving status, and it will display a message asking if you'd like to change your status. It will provide the appropriate status buttons for you to select from. And lastly, if you turn the ignition off, after 7 minutes, the system signs you off the device and keeps you in your current status. Regulations state that the ELD system can never set a driver's status to off-duty automatically. Drivers have to do this manually, so you have to tap the off-duty button. The only thing that the system is allowed to do automatically is to change your status to on-duty, not driving, when applicable. And here are a few things to remember. Manually, during the day, tell the device what you are doing by tapping a status button or selecting a comment. Comments are not required and should be used in accordance with company policies. Comments tapped when in driving status while the vehicle is stopped will set your status to on-duty, not driving automatically. Remember to set your status to off-duty when appropriate, such as taking a break. Tapping the More button reveals additional comment choices. You can select the driver comment to enter your own free-form comments. The status and comment buttons can only be tapped when the vehicle is stopped. Remember to approve/sign your logs every day. And also remember to set your status and sign off the device at the end of your shift. And sign off the device at the end of your shift. After signing on to the device and tapping the driver log icon, if the admin has made any changes to your logbook, a pop-up message is displayed prompting you to review those edits. An audible sound is played when the message is displayed. You have two choices: review edits or not now. Tapping the Review Edits button will bring you into the Proposed Changes screen. Tapping Not Now will close out that pop-up, and later on you can access that same screen from within the Progress screen. Let's begin by tapping Review Edits. The system displays two graphs, the original and the proposed, one on top of each other. There's a log date in the left corner as well. Blue lines on the graph indicate data came from the electronic recording device installed in the vehicle. Pink lines represent any changes made by the administrator. You can scroll down to view the Summary of Changes table, where you'll see total hours and mileage are displayed for both original and proposed logs. Notice the pink text. Tap the Expand Details text in the center of the screen to expose the duty detail events. Notice they are displayed in pink because they are proposed. You can tap the Collapse button to hide the events. Scroll down to the bottom of the screen. There are two buttons, I accept all changes or I decline all changes. When tapping I accept, a prompt is shown letting you know the system is now updating your logbook with the admin's changes. Once you've accepted the changes, the pink lines on the graph and the duty events turn green, indicating that these events were now accepted and are manually created, not electronically recorded. If multiple days need to be reviewed by you, the system's now going to show you the next set of days that you will have to either accept or decline. The system is showing that we have another day to approve. I'm going to back out of here and return to the progress screen and show you how to do that. From the progress screen, tap the red circle and then tap the Approve Admin Changes icon. This brings up the proposed admin changes screen. Scroll down to the bottom, and in this example, we're going to decline by tapping the I decline all changes button. A prompt is displayed letting you know the changes are declined and your logbook remains as it was. It will not be updated with the admin's changes. The Approve Admin Changes icon is always accessible by tapping the red circle from the progress screen and then tapping the icon from the extended view of available menu options. If there are pending admin changes that need your attention, you'll be brought right into that screen once you tap the icon. However, if there are no pending changes, the system simply displays a message letting you know there's nothing for you to review. And just to recap one more time, when drivers make changes to their own logs, there's no approval process necessary. The changes are immediate. When an admin makes a change to a driver's logbook, that's when drivers have to review those changes either on the touch display or from within the My Driver Log app. During a roadside inspection, drivers may be asked to show their driver log data to the officer. Currently, drivers can do so by tapping on the red circle menu on the progress screen and then selecting the inspection mode icon. This will bring up the inspection mode screen on the touch display. The inspection mode screen by default displays 8 or 14 days of driver log data where you see just the graphs. You can scroll down to view each day. You can tap the expand button at the top of the screen to expose the header section and the duty details. The header section displays a multitude of fields such as company name, address, driver information, DOT, odometer, home terminal, etc. Scroll down to view the duty details for each day. All events are displayed underneath the graph. Tap the Collapse button to return back to the default view. You can also tap the Home button to return to the main console screen, or tap the Back button to return to the progress screen. How do you sign off properly? This is an area where drivers tend to get confused or make several mistakes that unfortunately can end up generating violations on your logs. So we're going to discuss how to log off properly. From the progress screen, if it's the end of your shift and you are done working for the day, first thing to do is tap the off-duty status button. This sets your status to off-duty. Notice at the top of the screen it says off-duty. Next, tap the Home button to return to the main console screen. From the main console screen, if you need to access other apps, you may do so. While doing that, you are still in an off-duty status. But keep in mind, you are still logged into the device. Notice your name at the bottom of the screen. You must remember to tap the Sign Off button so you can be logged off the entire system cleanly. When you tap the Sign Off button, you return back to the Welcome Aboard screen where you are completely signed off the device and in an off-duty status. You are done. That's the proper way to sign off. Another way to sign off is if you're in on-duty not driving status and you navigate back to the main console screen and decide at that time you want to sign off, the system will prompt a message letting you know that you are signing off and you're still in on-duty status. And it provides you with options. Do you want to remain on duty and sign off device, select another status, or cancel? If you tap Select Another Status, the screen will display options for you. If you tapped Remain on Duty and Sign Off Device, you'll be kept in on duty, but you'll be cleanly signed off the device. The main console screen displays a Reenter Code button. This can be very helpful to use when you get into a vehicle that's already been started by someone else. If you look at the bottom of the screen, pay attention to the name being displayed. If it's not your name, you need to let the system know you are now the operator of the vehicle. So you would tap the Reenter Code button. You'll enter in your driver ID, enter a trip number or change a trip number, and submit. The pop-up for on-duty or off-duty will appear, so you can select your status, and then your logs will be downloaded. And then ultimately your name will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. Another helpful hint using the Reenter Code. If you had previously set your status to off-duty, and you were sitting on the bus, you never turned the bus off, you were sitting there having lunch or watching a movie, you are technically still signed on to the device, however you're not technically signed on to logs. So you need to tap the Reenter Code button, enter in your driver ID and your trip number if it's different, and submit. So this way the system understands that you're signed on to the device and you're signed on to logs. Again, you only have to do this if you were in an off-duty and did not turn the engine off. If you do not sign back into the system and you begin driving, the system will generate an unassigned movement start alert. What happens is on the screen a pop-up will appear letting you know that an unassigned alert has started. And what you need to do is pull over as quickly as you can and sign into the system. Once you sign into the system, it'll clear the alert. If you continue to drive and do not sign in, the system continues to track you, and that is considered unassigned movement. Ultimately, the administrator will have to figure out who was driving the bus and assign that movement to you.
When a driver has 0 hours remaining on their log, the progress screen shows that driver in violation if he's driving a vehicle. As you can see here in the center of the screen, across from the HOS rules, your hours remaining are 0, 0, and 10 hours and 53 minutes next to the 70. You can also see that the colors on the graph are no longer green or yellow, but primarily either red or completely empty. You can only be in violation if you're operating a vehicle. If you were in on duty, not driving, and you still had these exact same hours remaining, you would not be in violation. The only other place in the system where violations are displayed are for the current day's graph. Even if you had violations yesterday, if you went to look at your graph, you would not see that in the graph screen.
Let's take a look at the graph. When you look at today's graph, in the center of the screen, you can see that there is a red line around 4:30 to 5:30. The red line represents the violation that exists for the driver. There's nothing down in the event section that references the violation, just simply in the graph. The approaching HOS limit is displayed when you are at a minimum 30 minutes prior to your remaining time being 0. The over alert is displayed when you have exceeded your remaining time and you have 0 hours left. Each time any of these alerts are displayed on the screen, drivers are required to tap the OK button. If you don't tap the OK button, the alert remains visible on screen.